Ladies and gentlemen, alignment with God's will is the foundation for experiencing the fullness of His blessings in our lives. It is not enough to simply pray for success, prosperity, or divine favor. We must first ensure that our lives are in sync with God's purpose for us. God's will is not a vague or distant concept. It is His plan for how we are to live, the direction we are to take, and the way we are to interact with the world around us. The more we align ourselves with His will, the more we position ourselves to receive the abundant blessings He has in store for us. Living in alignment with God's will requires a willingness to surrender our own plans and desires. Many times we may have a vision for our lives, but God's vision is far greater. He knows the plans He has for us, and those plans are filled with hope and a future. Trusting in His plan and choosing to live in obedience to His voice is what opens the door to His blessings. When we align with His will, we move beyond our limited understanding and step into a divine flow that transcends our circumstances. It means living a life that reflects His love, grace, and wisdom in every decision we make, every action we take, and every relationship we build. This alignment is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing commitment to seek God's guidance daily and to follow His direction, even when it doesn't make sense to the natural mind. As we continually adjust our lives to His will, we begin to see God's blessings manifest in ways that exceed our expectations. These blessings are not just about receiving things, but also about growing in spiritual maturity, peace, and joy. The more aligned we are with God's will, the more we reflect His character, and the more His presence overflows in our lives. God's blessings are not bound by the limitations of time or circumstance. We often operate within the constraints of time, thinking in terms of deadlines, seasons, or the need to make things happen within certain windows. But God's blessings are not confined to these earthly boundaries. His provision, favor, and abundance are eternal, and He operates outside of the limitations that we experience. His blessings are not delayed or diminished by the circumstances of our lives, no matter how challenging or uncertain they may be. The idea that God's blessings are available in every season is a key to understanding His eternal nature. Whether you are in a season of abundance or one of scarcity, whether you are at the peak of success or going through difficulty, God's blessings remain constant. The world may tell you that certain opportunities are fleeting or that timing is critical for success, but with God, there is always a divine purpose and plan unfolding, regardless of the natural timing. Furthermore, God's blessings can often show up in the most unexpected ways. What may appear to be a setback can be a setup for His divine favor. His blessings are not restricted to our understanding of what is good or favorable. What we perceive as difficult or inconvenient circumstances might actually be the environment in which God's blessings are meant to overflow, shaping us, preparing us, and refining us for greater things. The beauty of God's blessings is that they transcend time and circumstance. His faithfulness does not diminish with the passing years, and His promises remain true no matter the situation. When we walk in faith, trusting that God's timing and His plan are perfect, we can experience His blessings at any moment. His favor does not depend on how perfect our circumstances are or how smoothly everything is going. It is a constant flow that never runs dry. God's blessings also extend beyond our lifetime. We may not always see the full manifestation of His promises in the immediate, but the seeds of His blessings are planted in ways that can affect future generations. His goodness stretches across time, leaving a legacy of favor, provision, and grace that can impact the world long after we are gone. His blessings are eternal, and they are always working for our good, even when we do not see or understand them in the moment. In a world that defines success by wealth, status, achievements, and appearances, it's easy to be caught up in the pursuit of these external markers. But when we shift our focus to spiritual principles, we begin to understand that true success is not measured by what the world celebrates, but by how closely we align with God's purpose for our lives. The world tells us that success means climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth, or achieving recognition. However, these are often fleeting and can leave us empty, as they do not address the deeper longings of the soul. True success, according to God's definition, is about living with purpose, fulfilling the calling He has placed on our lives, and becoming the person He created us to be. It's about serving others, growing in character, and reflecting His love, peace, and grace. Spiritual principles emphasize qualities like humility, integrity, faith, and love, things that cannot be bought or earned through worldly systems, but only developed through a relationship with God. These principles lead to fulfillment, peace, and joy, which are the true markers of success. The pursuit of worldly success often comes at the expense of relationships, health, and peace of mind. People chase after external accomplishments, believing that they will bring happiness or satisfaction, only to find themselves empty once they achieve them. In contrast, when we focus on spiritual principles, we prioritize what lasts: our relationship with God, the well-being of those around us, and the fulfillment of our purpose. This is the kind of success that brings lasting peace and a sense of true accomplishment. Moreover, spiritual principles shift our perspective on failure. In the world, failure is seen as a setback or a sign of inadequacy. But in God's eyes, failure is often a stepping stone, a lesson, and a part of His refining process. When we focus on spiritual principles, we understand that growth comes from trusting in God's process, learning from our mistakes, and using them to build resilience and character. True success is not about avoiding failure. It's about trusting God's guidance through every season, learning and growing. When we seek success based on spiritual principles, we experience a deeper sense of fulfillment that transcends the temporary highs and lows of life. Our worth and identity are not tied to what we have or achieve, but to who we are in Christ. We are designed to be in relationship with God, to love and serve others, and to steward the resources He provides in a way that honors Him. This is the success that brings true peace, joy, and eternal significance. By focusing on spiritual principles rather than worldly definitions of success, we open ourselves to a life of purpose, peace, and blessings that are not subject to the limitations of time, circumstance, or societal expectations. God is inherently a God of abundance, and His nature is defined by His limitless provision. From the very beginning, when He created the heavens and the earth, He demonstrated His abundance through the richness of creation. Every element of the natural world reflects God's generous spirit: vast oceans, countless stars, bountiful harvests, and the diversity of life itself. His abundance is not just about material things, it is a reflection of His character, His provision, and His desire for us to live in fullness. When we look at the promises God makes to His people, we see that they are rooted in abundance. He promises to supply all our needs according to His riches in glory, Philippians 4:19. This is not a limited supply, but one that overflows, continuously replenishing itself. God's abundance is not just about meeting the bare minimum, but about pouring out blessings that go beyond what we could ask or imagine. It is not confined to financial wealth, but extends to every area of life's spiritual fulfillment: peace, joy, love, and relational harmony. God's abundant nature is also evident in the gifts He has given us. Think about the talents, skills, and abilities you possess. They are a reflection of God's generosity. God does not give us small or insufficient gifts. He gives us all that we need to fulfill His purpose in our lives and more. Each person has been endowed with unique gifts, and these gifts are meant to be developed and used to serve others, thus reflecting God's abundance in the world. This abundance is not just for personal gain, but is meant to overflow into the lives of others, creating a ripple effect of blessing and provision. Moreover, God's abundance is seen in His grace and mercy. Every day He pours out His grace upon us, giving us opportunities for growth, healing, and transformation. No matter how many times we fall short or make mistakes, God's grace is more than sufficient to cover our shortcomings. His mercy is new every morning, giving us a fresh start each day, and His love is unceasing. This abundance of grace is a gift that cannot be earned, but is freely given to all who are willing to receive it. We can also see God's abundance in the way He works in our lives. Often, when we think we are facing a lack or difficulty, God is preparing us for greater things. His provision is often abundant, but it requires us to step out in faith, trusting that He will provide in ways that we cannot foresee. When we trust in His abundance, we allow His power to flow through us, enabling us to overcome challenges and experience blessings in areas we never thought possible. In conclusion, recognizing that God is a God of abundance shifts our perspective on life. His provision, love, grace, and mercy are overflowing and available to all who align themselves with His will. His blessings are not limited by time, circumstance, or worldly definitions of success, but are rooted in His eternal, generous nature. When we embrace the abundance of God, we live with a sense of purpose, peace, and fulfillment that goes beyond the fleeting measures of this world. As we tap into His infinite resources, we begin to experience the fullness of life that He has intended for us, one filled with blessings that flow abundantly in every area.